Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Levon Van Der Geest, of course, 2023 Kawiki Cup finalist, as well as coming off a fifth place finish at his first ASA Stars Tour race at Madison in the Joe Shear Classic. Hey, bud, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me again.
So you had quite the day.
Yeah, definitely. It started out really good. We were fast in practice all weekend, in topping the charts in a couple of the different sessions, and we qualified well. We ended up qualifying eighth into the invert, and it was a little bit loose off in qualifying, which my crew chief was worried about. He was talking to me about that before the race, that it's going to be more important to have the bite off the corner than to have the turn in the center of the corner. And we were kind of going back and forth on that, but he was right. In the race. It was really hard to find bite off of the corners with the sun and running the four barrels. Um, so we struggled with that early on for like honestly, the first 150 laps. It was really tough. We were just hanging on. We ended up even going a lap down at one point, and then the last 50 laps, we put the fresh tires on and made a surge to the front, and we ended up snatching a P5. So it turned into a really good day.
Yeah. What was it just like being out there with those guys? It's like was that probably one of the biggest races you've ever been in?
Yeah, I'd say that was the biggest race I've ever been in. The other ones that come close would be like the Slinger Nationals last year was probably um what was similar in size. The Dixieland 250 last year, maybe Oktoberfest. But this is definitely up there. I mean, at the start of the race, I got to start fourth, and I was starting on the outside of Derek Kraus, a NASCAR Truck Series driver, and then in front of me was Ty Majeski, another NASCAR Truck Series driver, and Bubba Pollard, you know, most one of the biggest super late model drivers in the country. So, the competition that I was around was pretty intense. It made for a fun race.
Did you have to pinch yourself and be like, I'm starting up with all these guys and all that?
Yeah. Well, when I'm in the race, I try not to think about any of that because, the goal is to beat them. So you have to think of yourself as like on an even playing field. But yeah, it was, starting around all those guys definitely gives you that much more nerves in the race. And it's a cool experience for sure to be up against that kind of competition.
So you had to go from you were in the front, then you were in the back, and then you had to really work your way up.
Yeah. Yeah, we started. I hit the invert in qualifying, which is that's my first for the Joe Shear Classic. This was my third Joe Shear this year.
Yeah.
The first 2 years I didn't qualify so well. So that was cool to hit the invert. I ended up doing the hat pick. I picked fourth, so I got to start on the outside of the second row, outside of Kraus. Um, and yeah, it was, so we started there on the first at the start of the race. I ended up making it around Kraus into third, and I was getting ready to just sit back with behind Majeski and Pollard, and then everyone told me like the four barrel is going to burn the rear tires off, and I didn't realize how much it was going to. And I found myself starting to get loose off the corners, and I knew I was in trouble. So then I had to backpedal and try to make up for that, what I burnt off in like the first 20 laps. And that took us all the way back down in the 17th place, a lap down. And at that point, we were almost starting to kind of take the race for what it was. We can come back at later in the year and hopefully have a better run. But then we just kept on pushing throughout the whole day. We kept on making changes on the car. We got the lucky dog, which was big. And then at the end, we had something for all those guys. We saved it the whole race, and then we knew at the end was going to be our shot to try to make it to the front, and gave it everything we had for those last 25, 30 laps, and ended up paying off for us.
Yeah. So, getting up there and hitting through all the traffic, and then rain at the end of the race, and
Yeah.
just what was it like just dealing with all that toward the end?
Is actually a lot of that stuff helped me, the rain with our car being loose, the rain on the track and the cloud cover cooling the track off actually helped the setup on my car a lot. It gave it a lot more bite off of the corners and gave us a bit of an edge over some of the other guys, which was really interesting. I mean, if we didn't have those late cautions in the weather at the end, I think it would have been maybe more of like a bottom of the top 10 kind of run. But that kind of stuff actually gave us a little bit of an edge, which was made it an interesting race for us.
Yeah. So how would you rate how do you think you did yesterday?
That's a good question. I think setting up the car wise, if learning for next year and learning for the Madison races later on in the year, we're definitely going to make sure that we have that bite off of the corner. I don't think I had enough of when I was working on setting up the car with the guys, I don't think I had enough of emphasis on that. So that's something we're definitely going to work on in the future, is making sure we got the bite off, even if we have to sacrifice a little bit of that turn in the center. I think it's going to be important because we really struggled with that throughout the day.
Yeah. So really, so let's talk about your next few races. What are you going to take from this race? And you got some pretty big races coming up here in the next few weeks. Tell the audience where you're going to go.
Yeah, so we have this weekend off, and then not really off. We're going to be working hard on the car, but next weekend we're going to have Slinger and Jefferson in the same weekend. Jefferson on Saturday, Slinger on Sunday. Slinger is going to be a weekly show, but they have a really stiff competition there for the weekly shows. So, and then Jefferson is an ASA Midwest Tour race, so they're both going to be really intense. They're going to be high competition, so it's going to be a lot of prepping for that. But the 5th place here in the Stars race gives us a lot of confidence moving forward for these other races. You know, to know that we can do that well against the best guys in the country, that tells us that we can do top 5s against in all these other races too, and hopefully get some wins too.
And this is not your only ASA Stars Tour race. Of course, you'll be at Slinger, and you'll be at WIR too.
Yeah, I'm excited for those two. The Nationals, I'm really excited for. I qualified in last year on my first attempt, which was amazing. I mean, that's one of the hardest races to qualify in, period, in the country. But we didn't get the chance to finish the race out because we had overheating problems, which we fixed that this year. So I'm really excited to see what we got there. We have a good setup. I mean, we ran the whole series there last year. We've been working on our setup for the last year and a half. And then the Dixieland, that was my first top 5 in ASA last year. So to go back there and we have a good setup to work with, I'm really excited to see where that one could end up too.
All right. Well, might as well ask this. What you got coming up outside the track? Do you have any other things that you're doing outside of racing and stuff like?
Yeah, for sure. This last weekend, the Friday before the practice day for the Joe Shear, I went over to Slinger to coach some of the young drivers. They had a practice day there for Bandolero drivers and the kart series that they have there. So I got to talk to some of those, the future of the sport, I like to call it. I got to talk to some of those guys and, you know, give them some tips, talk to them about moving up the ranks. So that was really cool to see, because I remember back when I was a Bandolero driver, and you know, I hope I can inspire those guys to stick with it through the years. And then coming up in the future, May 28th at Slinger, this next weekend, I'm going to be giving away a door panel signed by all of the former Kawicki finalists from Wisconsin. I got all their signatures, and I'm going to be giving away the door at Slinger. It's going to be, people can enter to win it by either giving food for the food pantry or by paying $5 towards the charity through Slinger. So that's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see how much money we can raise, and I'm excited to see how that goes.
All right. Well, Levon, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you pretty soon here.
Sounds good. Thank you.